Welcome back to PM Now. I'm Jamie Dunn, and with me is Gary Brown. Now, Gary has got over 25 years' experience providing engineering consulting services, turnkey project solutions, and directing and managing projects for some of the largest construction projects across all of Australia and for the industry's biggest names. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Gary. Welcome.
Thank you, Jamie. That's a big rap coming from a legend like yourself.
Mate, all I was a puppet.
I can see both your hands, so that's very reassuring.
That's reassuring, is it? Gary, can I ask you your area of expertise?
Yeah, it's been an acquired knowledge of water collection for potable water services, drinking water, recycled water, sewage collection, treatment and disposal, and stormwater collection, treatment and disposal as well.
And is that the main involvement that you have in the tendering process?
No, the tendering process, I have a business development role as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which I consider to be an integral part of the whole process of tendering. And the business development componentry of a tender starts 3 to 12 months from prior to the tender being released, so that the business development person gets out to the client, understands what the client wants far better than what the client wants, and knows himself or herself, and puts the groundwork into developing a strategy or a product or a gadget or a widget to satisfy what that client needs in the end of the day. The tender process itself is generally only a 21, 28-day process where you doctor up the paperwork, make it look pretty, and formalise the facts that why you should be involved.
That's interesting you say that, make it look pretty, because how many people do you know that use all the computer graphics and you end up with a great portfolio or presentation, if you like. But what you're saying is there's more to it than just that.
Yes, you can produce a tender that is the capacity of a Ben-Hur book.
Yeah.
Of 10,000 pages of extreme waffle, but I'd prefer to go down the path of a newspaper where the front page has all the major headlines, grabs you and entices you in to read the next paragraph underneath, rather than being short and successful with what you say and sell, rather than to go on with waffle. Because there's nothing more boring. I've been on the other side of it, on the tender review committee, and every tender is a genius. Every tender has the best product in the world, but once again, not many of them can actually deliver the goods and services that's required.
Well, I could imagine that the tendering process would be quite crushing, and debilitating, and because you put in all the work and all the effort, and then someone else gets it. How do you win? Like, you're allowed to give this information out in the podcast. How do you win a tender?
Well, you minimise the risk of losing it in the first place by understanding the requirements, what's needed. You do that in that 3 to 12 months prior to.
Build a rapport with the client.
The client knows how good you are already by what your face-to-face talkings, discussions, advice that you've given them. And you've also got the warm, fuzzy feeling across to the client. So the client typically understands that you want to fix their problem, and they get a
level of trust is sort of what you're saying. Yeah.
And they're keen to know that you're feeding them about understanding what their problem are, rather than just coming in to win the hard dollar contract and turn over the budget sheets for the accountants of the world.
So you're the sort of guy that would go straight out to on-site and meet your clients and have a look at what's got to be done and where it's going to be done. And
yes, the best way is from mates of mates in the industry. Having 40 years, I've got quite a large network. People give you some knowledge of what's coming up around the place, and then that's the seed for the tree. And then you go out and work on that seed, plant the seed, put a stake it, and grow it over the 3 months to 12 months beforehand. That's particularly in shires and councils and government works for that tender process. I have 2 scenarios, one I call Bullamakanka and one I call Bullamakanka 2.
Well, give me Bullamakanka. What's the scenario?
Well, Bullamakanka is remote regional Australia, where your local decision-making unit are probably most likely local councillors, who perhaps are extremely good farmers. Well, they would be extremely good farmers. And
would they be suspicious of people from the city, say? Is that a stupid question?
Correct. Very similar to New South Wales playing in Queensland and the state of origin.
Yeah, now don't let's go there. Don't take me there.
But it's they're wary of the blokes in the city or the people of the city ripping them off. But at the same time, they've got a different approach to a tender process as Bullamakenka too, which I consider to be the hoity-toity of the city, where the decision-making unit is probably have a highly skilled, specific task-orientated group of people who are capable of making decisions and whether or not they want to wear risk in the tender process. Where in Bullamakenka, you have very loyal and dedicated decision-making people there that are extremely good farmers, having to make decisions about water treatment, wastewater treatment, stormwater treatment, which is not their technical expertise.
Oh, speaking of technical, like new technologies and things like that, are they wary of new technology, or have you got to be across new technology as it happens? Do you take that with you?
You have to modify the technology to suit the environment in which it's working. Once again, Bullamakenka and Bullamakenka 2 are fine examples. Bullamakenka, the skilled level of the workforce is not technically orientated. They're very set in their ways, and they really don't want high-tech gizmos because it's out of their level. But if you come to a Bullamakenka 2, where you've got to have 3 degrees and a doctorate to become a filing clerk.
A receptionist.
Yeah, and a very ordinary receptionist probably too at that level of education. But they're capable of handling and working to that transition of new technology. So if you go to Bullamakenka with your U-Butte Bullamakenka 2 technology, you're going to fail.
You're not going to do it. You're not going to get across the line.
Because the decision-making units, they've got to operate that machinery, and if they can't read your document and understand what you're going to provide them, you're not going to get the tender. At the same time, Bullamakenka 2 don't want old-style technology. They want the state-of-the-art. They want Jetsons-type stuff where they can push a button and everything's done for them, so they don't have to be too smart to do it, really. But the button scenario frightens a lot of people in Bullamakenka.
Okay, I'm with
and
you.
you won't find that in a tender document. No. You'll find that by getting out on the road 3 to 12 months beforehand and understanding the needs of operators. The decision-making unit should be a vast array of what's required. One, your accountants, one, your engineers, and then your operators.
Well, speaking as someone that is not in the industry, I'm just here interviewing. Your analogy of, probably isn't an analogy, but what you said about minimising the risks of losing the tender makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, to use your scenario, yes, you're an exceptionally brilliant radio presenter and television hand, but you're not the prettiest person on earth. If I had to sell you beauty products, I'd have to come here and find out the needs of your sound people, the needs of your photography people, the needs of your processing people, your producers, your directors. You're probably the last cog in the back.
So you're saying that you would, part of your approach to tendering is to know the names and jobs of the people that you're pitching to.
And the personalities and their individual strengths and weaknesses and what they deliver to the decision-making process. I could keep referring to a decision-making unit and a decision-making process rather than an individual. Because in the end of the day, the individual will sign off on the tender, but there is a unit underneath them that make the recommendations to satisfy the signature or their signature going on that document. And a true decision-maker will listen to the unit, the input from the unit, which will have more weighting than these end result.
And would I be saying Bullamakenka, remote or country, are they interested in the use of local talent, local?
Yes, because if you take technology to Bullamakenka and the new technology strips 70 jobs from the population of 90, you no longer have a Bullamakenka township. So you've got to be understanding and model your tender to the specific needs of that local area. Yes, you've got to harvest their population out there, keep their economy kicking over so it doesn't become a ghost town. And that's a different paradigm for Bullamakenka too. Well, they're happy to throw out.
You're saying that I could just see some young buck with a U-Butte suit and shiny shoes going out, west of Toowoomba with his great project and his state of the art technology to wow them with, and then not understanding that we need to use the local plumbers, we need to use that guy over there, and this region is built on this and that, and all that stuff that you get by actually going there and creating a liaison with your new client.
And when you're going out there talking and rebuilding that liaison with the client, is also building that liaison with local suppliers. You refer to the local plumbers,
and
go and approach them and say, look, I'm going to be putting a bid in for this, and I want you on my team to do it. You all of a sudden now got a team of supporters than rebellious people against you.
Yeah.
And, the small towns talk. And what better advertising can you get when a small town operator, tradesman saying, I'm on board with this mob?
Yeah.
That gives you the advantage.
Well, Gary, I must say, knowing that you just got a tender over the line within the last couple of days worth many, many, many tens of millions of dollars, thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing the secrets of winning a tender and not losing one with us.
I'd like to thank you too, and Mike Manley from PM Now. It's a great opportunity to impart years of knowledge onto people, and and I'm looking forward to the other podcasts so that I can pick up some and learn some more, because you don't know it all, and it's a never-ending quest to gain experience and knowledge. That it's a great avenue to do it.
Well, I'll see you again, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
PM Now is a LinkedIn group for Australian project professionals looking to share their thoughts and experiences online. Since its inception in 2011, PM Now has grown strong and continues to get great contributions from its members. Next time you're on LinkedIn, search for PM Now and join the ever-growing group of Australian project professionals.